feel like the odd one out with the headphones. You guys have got the wires still. I feel like it looks more professional with the wire. I think they just look like I've got these look like I've got really bad earrings.
Cool. So, Chuck and See, episode 6, we have the busiest man in the world, Carl Saville. How's it going, dude?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Absolute pleasure to be on with you guys for sure. It only took us about 4 or 5 attempts to reschedule as well, so it's good to be on. Good to be on.
We nailed it. We made it happen.
Yeah.
We did this to Ali last week, so we'll just go straight into it. And what got you into CrossFit? What was the start?
So mine's like quite a simple story, really, in terms of like years and years ago. I used to work at a small gym, little local place, and my friend went to America on holiday, and I was just into like commercial bodybuilding at the time, and he come back and he said to me, "Oh mate," he said, "Oh, you got to try this new way of training. It's called CrossFit. He's like, there's this workout called 3 bars of death." And he's like, he explained what it was, like that's the other name for Linda.
Yeah.
So we had the deadlifts, the bench and the clean, and obviously at the time I didn't know how to clean, so I was just doing like strict muscle cleans, like reverse bicep curls. We done that whole workout. It took me about 50 minutes, and I was like so swollen and jacked. I just absolutely loved it, and I just fell in love with it then, really, in terms of the challenge of what we was doing. And all I cared about really at that time was how like I looked aesthetically, and that really like changed for me then in terms of just enjoying the performance of what I was trying to achieve and do. So yeah, from there I just started doing more of the like sweaty metcons, and it wasn't for a couple of years after that I started Olympic lifting then. So it took me a little while to that sort of, back then I think it was a little harder to transition over to CrossFit. Like there wasn't any other gyms in my town that was doing it. So yeah, that was kind of my story. 3 bars of death, you're in.
Boom, straight in.
What year was that?
Sorry?
What year was that? What year did you start?
So this is like, must have been 10, 11 years ago, something like that.
Long time ago.
Long time. I was definitely less grey back then anyway, I can tell you that. So.
Did that lead you into CrossFit Colchester, owning CrossFit Colchester? Was that that's fast transition or?
Yeah, exactly. So from there, like I spent a couple of years like training, just trying to get my Linda time down, which probably never did. But yeah, so I just started doing it myself, and I was running a boot camp at the time, and I just got a bit annoyed in terms of trying to do CrossFit in my local gym, where I also worked as well, like as a local Ballantyne chain, and it sounded like I was plugging Ballantyne then, so just sign up below, use my code.
10% off.
And I thought, like, this is a time when there was no other CrossFit gyms in my town, and I opened one and just was honest to everyone. I was like, I'm just a guy. I've worked in fitness all my life, but I don't know anything about CrossFit yet. Like, I'm learning, and if you want to join my club and like learn with me, then like you're happy to be welcome to be a part of that journey,
Yeah.
Whereas I felt like some people potentially like in other areas like would open and then just try and flag that they know a lot about CrossFit and try and sell it that way. I just literally said, like, I don't know anything, and I just like it, and we'll all learn
like
together.
That was like when we opened, like we had no idea what the fuck we were doing, or like just no idea. Like plonked the rig in the middle of the room thinking that would be a good idea. Like just like had no idea of like what it would turn into or what it would become, and you're just like you look back on it now and you're like, well, like how did we make it this far? Because like right at the start, you're just like you said, you've got absolutely no idea what you're doing.
Like I remember like opening the doors, we had like probably about 12 mats. We had a corner of the gym with matting. We had the rig was pretty good, to be fair. I went in quite strong with a big rig, just as a centerpiece. Like I didn't know what to do with it, just a big bit of metal. And we had like 5 wall balls of a couple of different weights, a few kettlebells, and like we just had really limited kit, but a nice bit of space, and it just we grew into that over a few years, and developed then as a team, and brought like some really good coaches on board, and just all grew like that, which was CrossFit culture. Like then just sort of took off from there, really.
Sweet. Did you coach yourself or back then?
So I started the gym. I was coaching at the time. Like so, I was a PT for years and years before that, so I knew like health and fitness, and coached for the first like 3 years or something like that. So I was. But what happened was in the second year, I put on a competition just for like my local clubs, because I was going around and seeing them, and we was doing little friendly throwdowns of each other. And I thought, this would be easier to get everyone together. We'll have the classic barbecue, workout, get to know each other. And that was then when the events basically started, because the next year there wasn't like many events on at that point. And I had like clubs from all over the UK. I had like Newcastle and other areas all asking to come down. And I said to them, this is just originally to get to know other clubs in Essex. I was like, so then I sat down and thought, should I open it up? And we done it. We had 12 team spots, and we opened it and held it at a local sports centre. And then that grew from there. So when I started the affiliate, that I didn't have any plans for nothing else at all. Like that was just fully focused on the gym. And then the events grew by itself. And then after sort of 2015, I had to make that decision of what I was going to do. And I brought a partner on board for CrossFit Culture stuff, which is then when I sort of stepped away from doing as much coaching. Like I still done one-to-one stuff and programming, and the odd class like here and there. And that just then took its own route from there, the events. So it was good.
So that pretty much runs us into the next thing I had written down was the fact that you run the competition. So it started off, or maybe from my knowledge anyway, as Battle of the Beasts.
Yeah, that's correct. So well, actually the very first one was called Battle of the Boxes, and that's where it was all about the affiliates, and it was just a team event. So the very first one that we held was you put forward 5 athletes, 3 male, 2 female, and we done it as a team event and an individual one. So you had workouts that were scored as individuals, and then you put collectively then workouts together. So at the end of the day, we could say who was the overall winner as an affiliate, and who then ranked made the podium for male and female athletes individually. So it was the concept was cool, and like it was a really raw event in terms of it was just in an affiliate. We had like 50-60 members like come like down just to watch and cheer everyone on. And then I think the first one had 4 or 5 local clubs involved, and then the next year, like I said, had 12, which was then Battle of the Boxes. And then we added the Battle of the Beasts, which was the individual event. And did either of you guys happen to come to that one or not?
So I think we watched the last one maybe before it changed. Or
okay, so the one in was you still in Crown Plaza then?
Yeah.
The 5 legs.
I think Annie Forsdorp was that when it was the European champs, or was that?
Yeah, so that would have been I think that was the last year of Battle of the Beasts potentially. But before that, that's when we started it in the sports hall. And it was the first year of Battle of the Beast was because I really have a personal preference for a barbell. It was really heavily focused on strength and barbell workouts. Yeah. And I just remember now, like looking back on that year was absolutely savage. It was like so heavy. And it was the top 45 athletes from each category. We just had the male and female RX category, and that was it. And it was tough. It had DT in there for 3 rounds, and 60 kilo thrusters with toes to bar and stuff like that. So it definitely wasn't an event for us, that's for sure. The pound for pound athletes weren't getting in that one, that's for sure.
Fun to watch, but I'll stand at the side.
Fun to watch, but I'll stand at the side. Yeah,
definitely. So that's where the individual one then grew from. And that year we had some incredible athletes on that floor. Like I look back now, and people like Rob Manlove and Nick Rouse and David Schronke, Will Kane, like that's obviously just the male side there. Like we had just a great lineup, and it was just when all the events really were getting going. So we spent then the next few years like really sort of investing all the team like work, like volunteer for free, and the money just goes back in to keep growing the events. And that's where it snowballed from there.
Cool.
So it keeps me out of trouble anyway. That's the main thing.
What caused or prompted the name change from Beast to European Champs? Is it same sort of idea, or is it a complete change? Or
no, so it was just a rebrand. Like, so at that time, there was a lot of events popping up with that similar name in terms of the Battle of, and there was some. There's some like what was it, Battle of the East? Do you know that one over in the Middle East? And they had were franchising it out, so they took over what was then called the Athlete Games, and I knew then that they were looking at expanding their events, so I didn't want to clash with the name of the Battle of. So I just wanted to then have a brand that was very generic, so that it could always be adapted. If anything was to happen to the sport, I know that I could adapt the event as a fitness event into another format, and it would still have that same audience and that credibility with it. So yeah, that was kind of the thinking on the rebrand. Really, it was not an exciting story or anything with it, but yeah.
So I take it by the way you're talking there, so the event side of it, you did that kind of grasp you maybe a little bit more than owning the gym side of it, or did it just snowball that much that you had to I need to step back from here and then?
Yeah, I kind of, to be honest, it literally took its own path, and it got so busy. Like I said, I brought a partner into the gym, Chris Quinney, and he come on board with me, and we run that together for another few years, and we expanded the club as well. We took it from sort of a local small warehouse that had started in to a larger facility that had a calf, barbers, physio, hairdressers in there, all sorts. So it's a really nice setup down there, and I still train there now myself. We run the athlete program training camps and stuff. So it's it was just a case of I got so busy in all three that I had to decide which ones then I was going to go with, and just really because the program is something that's online, and I do really enjoy working with multiple people then online, and what we get to do in training camps and going away to a place like the games. You can't grumble at that.
No, absolutely not.
That it's obviously exciting and something that I really enjoy. So and the events, you get a different type of different type of feeling back from that, in terms of when you're putting workouts together and you're putting these online for the last event we had 2,500 people take part in that, and you put together a workout and see people taking on that challenge, including yourselves. It's really rewarding in that sense, and that I really enjoy. So they're all really different, and obviously in a gym you get all of them same feelings too, of helping people progress, and I definitely wouldn't rule out opening a gym again in the future, just once I've got probably a better because all the businesses are growing, so I just need that team in a line to be running smoothly, so that I can free up a bit of time for it.
That's cool. So that pretty much answers the next one, which was, do you program the workouts for these competitions yourself?
Yeah. So right from the beginning, that was obviously we learn and develop throughout, and I've got a really, really good team of people that I work with, and the core management team. There's 3 guys, so I have guy called Patrick Ferris, Dave Smith, who you guys might know from CrossFit Spitfire, and the last guy, Tom Wiles. He's been with me as well for the last 5 years from Esprit de Corps CrossFit. And basically I put the workouts together, and then I ping it over, and them guys tear them apart, redo them, and send them back. So it works really well, and I can trust them guys to keep it close to their chest, because that's one of the hardest things in this in that sort of field, is that you want to keep the excitement there and for no one to know what's coming up. Because I think a lot of events now, they release the workouts in advance to help clear up movement standards, free up time for the event, which I completely understand, and that's definitely got its place for sure. But for us, I think it keeps that excitement with people not really knowing what they're going to be doing until the actual day or the weekend. We might drop the odd one or two out, like just so that they're helping build in excitement towards the finals. But generally, I try and keep all of that under wraps. So
yeah, cool. Do you when you kind of first plan that out, do you know what you're looking to see from, say, the outcome of the qualifiers and, say, the finals in terms of the workouts? Is there a set sort of plan?
Yeah, so in terms of how I put these things together, like I use throughout the year, like I'll already have a base of workouts that I've like enjoyed. Predominantly now they come from our own program, from the athlete program, because that's where I get to see and review and use as well myself, like these workouts. So first of all, like I put together like the format in terms of what I was looking for, whether that be for weight, for reps, for time, for rounds, so that we've got an even balance of that. And then I would look at the different time domains, so that we'd have shorter sprint workouts, longer endurance ones, couplets, triplets, and so on. So once you've got them formats there, then you can kind of be a bit of creative with maybe having different types of structure to it. So whether you've got like a window to try and complete X amount of work to it before you move on to the next one. That's probably one of my favorite formats of a competition, is when you have a minimum requirement to get through in like 2-3 minutes. Otherwise you have to walk off the floor. And like for me personally, like that is it's always a risk, because you have an educated guess of what the athletes of course can do in certain time domains and windows, but you just never know what's going to happen on that floor, like on the day, because athletes always surprise me. Like a couple of years ago we had Fran, and if you come, I think Fronin's time back in the day would have come like in the top 30, something like that. Like it was frightening. Like there was about 3 seconds between the top like 35, something like that. So it was crazy. But yeah, one of my favorite workouts we had was pistols and toes to bar. I can't remember the exact rep range of it, but there was a 2-minute window, and you had to go through that. And then there was about 4 or 5 rounds, and the last one had like weighted pistols to it. But there was people like not making the first round, so then their judge would pull them off the floor. They'd have that walk off, and then it'd go on to the next round, and so on and so on. So it was absolutely brutal. Like no mercy on that one. And yeah, definitely one of my favorite formats for sure.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds fun. What are some of the biggest challenges in running the competition? So obviously online qualifier wise, what are the main things you're faced with in the qualifying stages?
So like to start with, the biggest thing is like making sure the standards are clearly given, and the Q&A that follows from our standards video is very thorough. So we sit there and we try and pull it apart as much as we can ourselves, to think like, what are people going to ask? Because if not, I'll get like 500 emails saying can I jump over the bar or not? Like that, that's one question that 500-600 people can ask, and if you get that wrong, then you've just created yourself about a week's worth of work. So I try and make sure from the beginning that everything's super clear. Which actually the latest event we just held, the online one, is probably a good example of that. Like I just done this myself to help like keep people motivated at the minute, obviously in isolation, and
it was cool.
We've all been there in terms of like that lull at the minute, trying to keep yourself going. And I've been very lucky to have kit and like been able to train well, but I still feel that lull in motivation. And so I put this on to help keep everyone active, keep it there, and for us as well, to keep the engagement for the event. But I've just done a video to explain the standards, and they definitely wasn't very clear. So I can hold my hands up on that one and say like, I dropped the ball a bit, because I had hundreds and hundreds of emails of questions, just little things that you miss out or don't think about, and then you've created yourself a lot of work. So from the beginning, that's the sort of thing you're thinking about. How do you simplify the process, but you have to keep it exciting at the same time. So if you come up with a really jazzy workout, you better make sure you've got a very clear process and standard to explain it afterwards.
That was that's what Carl Steadman was saying as well. The only time he really finds issues at like the high end level would be if there's a crazy workout with maybe like 7 different parts, and this part moves into this part, and that's the main thing that confuses people. They don't know when they have to move their chest piece at regionals, or
Yeah, and I think for the regional like level with that standard, like the guys, it's really hard because the judges are told like not to be able to tell the athletes certain things, even they don't count out loud, and you know they're not there to help them, guide them through the workout. Whereas for us, like we do allow that to a certain extent, because it's a slightly different type of competition. We want the guys to be competitive and it's fair, and we want it to be judged correctly, and our judging team do a fantastic job. But at the same time, I would rather the judge be able to just point them in the right direction and say that's what you've got to do next, so that's clear if they're if they're confident and comfortable doing that. It's another thing to keep an eye out on for sure.
Whose idea was the single skips in that online?
You motherfucker!
Oh,
the debate of the single skip is forever. Like, it makes me laugh so much.
So it's like looking at it, having done it, I love it as a test, but fucking deep down inside, I think I started that workout like 8 times. I just wanted to take a brick and just chuck it in my garage, like
start tearing the place up. Honestly, like it's well, I'm not going to say amusing. Like the level of the level of athletes that will complain about a single skip because they'd rather do the double under. And I personally really like it because like when I used to skip for boxing and stuff, that it was you would single skip all the time, a very slow, lazy skip to warm up and get yourself going. And like with CrossFit, everyone now is so adamant on learning double unders or triple unders. You forget about a single under. And it's like a very simple way of allowing more people to get involved, to have a single under in the first round, double under in the next. And I've never used a triple under, and I probably won't. Obviously allowing us to add that last bit, that last window on, for people to then have a go at the double unders.
I think I pinged a message in our group chat, and I was just like, "What the fuck, boys? Like, what the fuck? I can't do these." Like, I was like, "It's taking me 1 minute and 45 seconds to do 100 of these. Like, what is going on?" It was
you
a
can
disaster.
do 100 double unders in like 45, 50 seconds.
It's ridiculous. I love it as a test, but I hated it.
So I won't be surprised if a kip and pull up appears next, Carl.
Okay, that's what you're thinking, is it? So you're hedging your bets on.
That's the next one. It's the same sort of thing. I've always said, or I've always been taught, like if you learn a skill, don't lose that skill. But like a double under is one of the first one. A single skip's one of the first one. And then a kipping pull up if you move on to your butterfly and your
that would mess all sorts of people up.
Like in a class,
100%.
Then a class, okay, you use your kip and pull up, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, I need to demo it.
That's definitely what I would feel like if I put that in the competition. I'd be thinking, I can't even remember the last time I done one. So strict pull ups or butterfly, like. Throw a kip in there and I'm in trouble.
Do you ever?
Maybe I was going to say maybe we could have single unders and kipping pull-ups.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine the chaos?
that would create about 1,000 messages in one workout for sure.
Phone just explodes.
So good.
Do you ever worry about, maybe not now, but back then, like the uptake of interest in the competitions?
Yeah, I think because when we started it, like it was like I say, just done for fun of our local boxes. Once I had like 4 or 5 of our local guys on board, and we were all just having fun, like competing with each other, just in a friendly way. Once I'd done that, I wasn't too worried in terms about how many people took part, because to me, I didn't care if like 50 people took part or 500. Like it was just a case of like doing it for the fun. But as the years evolved and the costs increased in terms of how we now run the event, you have that big pressure of having to have X amount of people to sign up. So every year you're looking to invest money into a different way of making it exciting or attractive to other events and to our own previous events, because it's different in terms of, if you look at like the Olympics and then tests that are all set set in stone and they've been there for years and years and years. Like ours are always different, and we're trying to be creative and exciting and stand out. So then pressures come like financially as well. So that comes at a bit of a cost. So we're better like in now. I wouldn't say I stress about that, because we always get sort of like around the 2,000 to 2,500 people sign up for the qualifiers. So and luckily, I won't put too many single unders in, otherwise that might keep dropping down. But but yeah, in general, like it runs okay now, like because the audience is there, people have done it before, and yeah, it sort of runs quite smooth now.
Cool. So that was sort of challenges you're faced with the online, say, qualifiers. What are the main ones you're faced with say running the finals, like the day of?
Yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, similar in terms of before the event, you're trying to promote stuff for the online stuff for everyone to be capturing their attention and excitement. And then it's the same for the finals, because people that are coming to the finals to take part, they need to know that it's going to be exciting, and you build that beforehand. But equally, you want it to be exciting for the spectators that are coming to watch and support. So if one person's bringing 30 people or 20 people along, like they need sort of entertainment away from the floor as well, to make sure it's like a weekend or a day out that they're going to be able to really enjoy throughout, and not be sort of waiting around too long if they're just going to be watching the athlete on the floor. Yeah, so we try and look at that. As you probably both saw, like, did you both come to the last final?
Yeah, both there. So
yeah, we had Big Eddie Hall there, and he obviously done his challenge of grace, which was pretty epic to say the least. And then that attracts, say, a different crowd, and it just keeps that exciting for athletes and spectators, because of course it's, you know, everyone wants to watch someone chuck 60 kilos up and down in 50 seconds. So
how'd you go about that? You just message him and hope he gets back to you, or is there like
so it depends who I've been able or lucky enough to like maybe talk to or come in contact with, to create like that contact with, and have a chat about, you know, what we can potentially do, because it never works as like, if you've got an idea, you might have to speak to 5 or 6 people, then go through different ideas before you come to the final one. So it's not a case of like, you know, lucky enough to have Big Eddie on speed dial and just hit him up and ask him. Although we did have some very interesting chats. I must admit, he's probably one of the most interesting characters, or funny characters, that I've worked with over the years. He left me some very entertaining voice messages, and that's all I can leave it at that. Like one of them, I was stupid enough to play it out loud. A couple of people that I was with at the time, we was in a meeting, and I said, I just got to listen to this because he's on his way over. It was the night before he was coming, and he left this voice message, and I can't repeat like what it said. It was beyond funny and like just unexpected in all areas. So he's a really good character and a really good guy as well. He's very accommodating and just wanted to do well in terms of entertaining, and the challenge he took so seriously. He played it down like on camera in terms of what he was doing and stuff, like in the effort. But he took that real seriously. He's prepped for it and he's training. So he's really good at like athlete and professional as well.
So was the challenge you guys' idea, or was that like a combination of the both of you coming together?
So the actual challenge itself was something that I come up with. I sent Eddie like 3 different like types of challenges and said, like, these are sort of ideas that I've got. What would you prefer to do? Because of course the athlete needs to be happy with what they're doing to make that work. But to be honest, one of the funniest things that ended up happening was Eddie done the record, broke that, and then backstage he just pulled me over and said, "Oh, Cole, really enjoyed that." He goes, "But to be honest, I just love fucking about." He goes, "What else can I try and break a record in?" And I said, I don't know. I was like, I said, what do you fancy doing, Eddie? And he said, "You guys walk on your hands, don't you?" And I looked at
I think we watched that.
Yeah. Oh, you see that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I turned and I looked at Dave Smith and I kind of looked back to him and I said, "You ever tried that before?" And he said, "Nah." Okay, right. So 170 kilo man asks you, wants to go upside down, and I said, okay. I was like, well, if you want to give it a try, I said, let's get Dave over, who Dave specialises in gymnastics, and I said, come on then, Dave. I said, take him through some drills, and we'll see how we get on. And I got to be honest, I found this like even more impressive than the record itself, because like I say, 170 kilos, this guy kicked up, like he'd done a couple of like kick ups to us holding his legs, and like again when he kicked up 170 kilos coming over, like me and Dave like looking at each other, I just braced myself and thought like this could be the end for me here, like this is how I go out. So yeah, he kicks up and we just pushed his legs back down so that he wasn't trying to hold. He was just getting used to being upside down. Done that a couple of times, and then he kicked up and we walked with him holding his legs, which that was pretty entertaining. Like just holding 170 kilos is not easy. So he kicked him, pushed him down, and then he finished like you obviously guys see, like he finished with 5 meter squares. Like he'd done 1 meter at a time, but he'd done that by himself. So in one session, he managed to get upside down, walk a meter, kick back down, do that 5 times. Like that for me was so impressive to show his like athleticism. That side, like their size, like fantastic, really good.
That's cool.
So
that's cool.
Yeah,
Is he winning the boxing fight?
No, I've met both of the guys. Like I was lucky enough. I was going to Iceland and I shared a flight with Thor. So like as we were getting on the plane, he was just standing next to me. I felt the shadow. This is no exaggeration, no lie. I'm not saying it because we're on here. Like I stood there and I just felt this like shadow or presence behind me. And the person I was with, I sort of I was just standing next to me. I turned around and he was just like above us, you know, like looking down. And we were both really small. And I turned back around again and I was like, I turned around and I was like, oh, hello. Like, so I introduced myself, and it was like one of the moments when you're boarding a plane and he was trapped because we were both boarding it together. And I was like, he can't get away from me now. I was like, I'm just gonna chat to him. And when I like shook his hands were huge, like an absolute bear, you know. But he was a really nice guy. He was chatting away. Like I've worked with a few Icelandic athletes who had something in common to talk about, and he's a great guy. And of course in that fight, like it's going to be really interesting, like if someone teaches Thor to like box like and keep him away and he can use his reach, then of course he'll have a chance. But I've got to be honest, I think Eddie is going to have that inner fire and fight about him. He's got that like mentality that I think he's going to go in there and I think he'll tear him apart, to be honest.
I wouldn't want to get punched by either of
them. Nah.
I wouldn't want to be the referee in that fight. That's for sure. No. I'll be just have a flag or something. Stay out.
How do the vendors work? So I've always said to Juicy, there's going to be a Juicy Ninja vendor at an athlete, a European champs one day.
I like to hear that. Let's get you set up then in the next one. So we've literally just we were meant to have finals actually in July, weren't we? I don't know if you guys saw that. So we had qualifiers were meant to be in April, the finals in July, and of course because of Corona, we've had to postpone that event, and we haven't actually made a decision on if we're going to be putting that on later on in the year or if we're going to like postpone it until next year, because the issues like at the minute, so we still don't know all these details of when we're going to be able to host these events. We've got a team event in September. Again, not trying to plug this, but just sign up at the link below. That'd be great.
We've actually
we're already in.
We've got teams signed up for it.
There you go. But I was going to say like the finals is obviously like the individual one. Put that off. So the vendors, obviously you guys are going to be welcome at any of our events. So you lovely hosts that you are. We'll set you up. So vendors, like we sign up, we have a set amount of different companies from different industries, so that we don't turn up with 40 like clothing stands and always trying to sell t-shirts because it's not going to work out. And I have a guy, my friend Patrick. He's been with me since day one. He's actually he's my best man as well at my wedding. So he helps me out and he looks after our vendors. He manages that for me. So get you guys in. That'd be good.
There we go.
Look forward to that for sure.
We're in.
We're in.
You can do some coverage of the finals as well on the floor. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Deal.
We will do that.
Done. It's a verbal agreement now. That's official.
Where do you see the European champs like going? Like, what's the goal for it? Like, do you think, are you looking at maybe not go down the sanction route, but head towards that way, or do you want to kind of keep it as it is, kind of more of a not a local competition, but do you know that kind of like
so
community feel, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so because I think the feel and atmosphere that we have at our finals is quite unique, and like that's something that I don't want to lose. So I definitely wouldn't rule out being a sanctioned event, but I also, as a person, I very much like doing what I like to do, and I feel like at the minute we have that flexibility and individuality of the event. I really would want to keep, and if I felt like I'd lose that, then obviously I wouldn't go down that route. But if I feel like I could keep that and make it work, then I would. But I've got to be honest, this last year was really good for our event, like not being, it still had like world elite athletes there. Of course, like you just have to look at the podiums, but also it was accessible to like your everyday athlete as well, to have a go and get into like our novice categories, the intermediates, which are sort of around my level, and then you've got your RX category. So I want to keep it accessible to everyone, and like I don't know enough details, to be honest, behind the scenes of sanctioned events to make that cool. But I'm very much just enjoying running it as it is at the minute.
That's cool.
For sure.
That's cool.
Cool. So we have like a running question.
Right, go on.
Everyone that we've had. So we've had more so athletes so far, but we had Carl Steadman on, so he was able to give us.
What are you saying, Liam? I'm not classed as an athlete.
No.
I'm joking.
No.
I would never class myself as a competitive athlete, so don't worry.
You're
right. Secretly raging that you beat him on the
we're not going to talk. We're not going to talk about that. We scored that. We scored that off the notes.
I got put in the bin. That third workout saved me on that competition. It saved me so bad. I had a shocker in the first workout. Bearing in mind, obviously, I wrote them, and I never do the competitions because I write the workouts. But because this one was fun, and obviously it was for that reason, I thought I'll have a go, and I really went into that first workout thinking I'd do well at it, and I've just been doing a lot of running as well, and I thought, my running's like really good at the minute, and it tore me apart, mate. Like I come 98th, I think.
Yeah, I was like 100 and odd, and I was like, wait a minute,
what's going on?
What's happening? That hit me bad, and then the second one went to like maybe 30 something, and then the last one, like I'm 5th, so like it went really bad. And then okay, and then a good finish. So which is how I'd rather that way around. The other way,
the opposite way. So after that first one, I was like, what have I signed up for?
Oh God.
You were asking for a refund from a free event. Like, someone get me out.
So I'm in it now. I can't not show up to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Especially as you messaged me after the first week or the second week. I was like, we look forward to this one.
So I got to the finished the, where was it? I was on the 14 handstand push up. Did the 15s. Did the 15th one, and I was like, I don't know if I'll get that one. And I go for the 6th. I was like, I'll just do a 16th one just in case. But Mel was giving me like the countdown wherever she was, and I'm sure she said 30 seconds. And I was like, cool, I'll do the 16th rep just to be sure, and then I'll move on. And she's like, 3, 2. I was like, wait, what? Where did 30 seconds go?
I think I remember seeing that actually on the video, because I did watch your video myself just to see how you got on, because I knew the third workout was going to be like something that I was going to be stronger at in terms of than the first. I thought the second one would be my worst one, but I knew that one. So I knew you'd be good at it as well. So I I watched your video. I look forward to that. That was good.
That was like the first one. I was like, I'm quite short. I'm all right at dumbbell snatch. I don't know how far to go. And then like the burpee one, I was like, again, don't have far to go. And I put my score in, and there was like all these scores above me. I was like, these people, how fast are these people moving?
Like on that note, did you see the guy that I'd done the overall like performance award for, who was 10 years old?
Yeah, I saw
so
that.
like I watched this video. I saw his score come in, and I thought, obviously when you see big scores come up, you part of you thinks, this isn't going to be like a legit score.
Yeah.
So we checked it through, and like I started watching it, and this kid introduces himself, like really sweet, like real nice, like presented himself well, and just went over casually to his bar, starts doing his burpees, and like pretty strong start. And I thought, okay, we'll see if he keeps that up, keeps it going, and he gets quicker and quicker. And at the end, he's like sprinting over this bar, and his dad and mum's like cheering in the background.
That's
and he
class.
does 155, beats everybody on the field at 10 years old. And I was just that for me was like, that made we had a really good story every week. So we had like a different shout out that I'd done for a lady that couldn't walk in the first one, Randy, I think her name was. She like couldn't walk at all. I had an accident, and then used that first workout to actually, and she finished it as well, like the no equipment like one, and she walked like backwards and forwards, and that was the most walking she'd done for years. Cool. So that was a great story. And then in the second one, like my mum, she like I'd done the workout myself in her garden, and she saw it, and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give this a try." And she done 47 in her first attempt. Then she done 51. She done it a third time and got 53. And like that beat some people in my gym, like who were like 20, 25 years old. And I said to her, I was like, "That's so good." She's like 62. I was like, "That's awesome." I was like, "You should be really proud of that." So I gave her a little shout out.
Cool.
And then on the week 3, we had a gentleman called Bob who'd again, he was 60, and he'd done like all 3 workouts, completed them, great technique, like all the movement standards were good, video submission standards were good, and like he new to CrossFit as well, so he had a good finish in WOD 3 as well, I think. So that was his highest finish. So again, like really good shout outs. But yeah, the overall one for the kid that was 10, like he won the 3rd workout as well. He won WOD 2 and WOD 3 from everyone, and he's like his handstand press ups would put us to shame. He's an absolute weapon. Yeah. So he was really, really good, and I just really liked how switched on and professional him and his parents were, like introduced him and stuff. So yeah, that was a really good moment for me. That's cool. Like running an event.
That's cool.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, our running question that we have with everyone is you're our inside man with this one, is what is the most ridiculous question you've been asked at a brief, whether it be any workouts, like
okay,
we've been a few, and some of the ones we've had, we're like, how did you make it this far? That's the question.
Yeah. So man, I feel like I could sit here for hours. Like so man, like the one that stands out, and I don't even think this is the stupidest one, because like there are, you could argue it, but like when we were doing over rower burpees, and people obviously jump over the lowest part of the bar, and someone asked if you could jump over the front part, like the section, and and I've heard it as well at another event, so it wasn't even like someone was joking, and I can't see in my mind like why that would even be an option for someone. Like why they think that would be okay, and B, why they would want to do it. So that's definitely a cracker for me. That was a good one. And then we probably get most of our, because when you're at the finals, people don't tend to step forward too much unless they've got like a pretty good question. But you get more of your funny ones with the online stuff, because that's where people just don't think. They'll just see a workout, and they won't think to themselves, "Oh, I'll check this out, I'll Google it, or I'll ask a friend." They just think, "I'm going to ask the organizer now." And some of them are beyond funny. So
I think the one got me. I think you pinged it out in a Q&A, I think, for the last one, the online qualifier, and it was like, you were like, "Yes, a push-up is a press-up," or something like that. That got me.
Like,
that got me.
Yeah,
that was good. That was good.
I think when someone's like new to CrossFit and stuff, like the American terminology to English, like I get that if you've only just started, you might want to check it just in case it's different. But yeah, it's still a good one. So I'm trying to think of some other crackers I've had.
Oh.
I mean, you get people ask like if their login details are the same as the ones as the CrossFit Games website and stuff like that. And, like, and they like haven't signed up yet, and they're trying to log in. They're trying to log into the CrossFit Games, and I was like, you know, I'm not Dave Castro, right? Like this is not.
It's a completely different thing.
Together. Yeah.
Not yet.
So,
not yet.
Yeah. So that's like definitely takes up a lot of time just to explain to people what it is they're doing.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah. Mike had called out Jason Sweeney. Was that from Filthy 150?
Okay, yeah.
Events. He was asking. Mike had said he was asking maybe every question possible, and but obviously because those guys were in the team side of things, they had to wait for the entire individual brief to finish first. And Mike was just like, "Come on."
Yeah. Actually, Mike himself is really good for asking like relevant questions, because you get people that try and like ask like questions to try and cheat around movements and stuff to speed things up. But Mike himself, actually, I've got to give it to him. He's very he's quite switched on to asking something that could be effective, but without trying to like bend rules and stuff like that. So he's someone you want in a brief for sure, because he'll ask something if it's not clear. So yeah, he's good. Good man.
So that pretty much covers the competition side of things. So we'll dive straight into the athlete program, the program itself.
Yeah, sure.
So did that come from you working in CrossFit Colchester, or sort of owning CrossFit Colchester, or what started the online program?
Yeah, so like at the time, I was still owner of the gym, and I was doing programming for individuals, and my coaches that worked for me were doing stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I saw the fact that, you know, it's an online platform, and it was something that could grow like well in terms of like, you know, the financial income of your time producing a program, and then that again, it doesn't matter if 50 people are doing it or 500. I didn't quite understand at the beginning what goes into the admin side of running something like that, but I learned the hard way. But yeah, so basically that just grew again, like organically from us doing that. And then I sat there and I thought, do we just do this ourselves and like roll out the program with the people that I had in my team? And I took I pondered on this for quite a while, and I thought, if I'm going to do it, like I wanted to do it and hit the ground running and start quite strong and have that sort of the credibility of someone with their name back in the program from the beginning. So I had a friend who was friends. Sound like that guy who's going, my postman's brother's sister. He knew Scott Panchek. But yeah, my friend who was close friends with him, he reached out to him for me and set up a meeting, and we had a chat, and we had a contract with Scotty for the first year where he programmed for us for 6 months, covering, and we used that. And then the following 6 months we programmed, and he reviewed our programming of it. Mm-hmm. So he was fantastic, to work with. You know, he was real stand-up professional again. And when we were chatting, like every month, we had a group like call to go over the programming. You always wonder if these stars like would just be skimming over it, their names on it. It looks fine, like that's fine, just a bit of a payday, like, you know. Oh, hang on, sorry, I've done something. Oh, I'm back. Here we go. Technology.
There we go.
I told you. That's not my strong point. So Scotty, and then we'd had these calls, and he was all he cared about was making sure the members were getting the maximum progression from that program, and any way that he could look to improve that process for them, he would. And I really I saw our team as well of coaches that were really, I had a lot of respect for our team, and I saw them like grow as coaches from his guidance, and that's worth its weight in gold from someone with his experience and knowledge. So that's how it started, and I was lucky enough to then, like I say, have that agreement with Scotty. And at the end of that first year, I then had to make that decision of whether we were going to carry that on ourselves or keep Scott or bring someone else in. And I felt like because Scotty was from America, like it didn't quite have the same level, the presence or the connection with the UK like market of athletes. So I already knew Mike Catris then through the events that I was running. I've known him for quite a few years, and the type of person that he was, and his experience and knowledge. So I approached Mike, and at the time he was running like a program himself called MoveFit, and we had a chat about what our ideas and vision was, and for the programs in the future, and like some suggestions that I had of what we could do together, and Mike come on board from there. So to be honest, like that was probably one of the best decisions I've made in terms of the direction of where we went with that, and putting Mike in that driving seat. He's been like absolutely like perfect for us. Like he has embraced it completely, the vision that I had before, and I couldn't thank him enough. You know, like without getting too sentimental, I don't want to be bringing that to this podcast, especially because Mike will watch this and he'll cane me for the rest of my life on this. But yeah, like I owe that guy a lot, and I've got a lot of respect for him, and not just for his knowledge, but as a person. Like we're like really good friends, and like it's been a great decision. So, and the program itself, the business has grown, like in terms of the structure of what we deliver. We went from when he come on board, we had like 3-4 programs. We've now got 11. You know, it's growing in all them different areas, and I think the like the community of people that we have on the program is what's the most important thing. Like everybody, when we go to events and everybody's like just meeting, getting together, it's a really good like atmosphere and supportive of each other. Like the online stuff, you know, when you call each other out for a bit of fun, and like it's just, I love that. So that's been fantastic.
Yeah, cool. So we spoke to Mike about that, how it went from MoveFit when he said he had maybe 30 maybe max people on it, to however many you guys had at the time. How did you find the sort of build to what it is now? Was that like a gradual build, or did it just suddenly explode for uptake wise, for members jumping on?
So we put together a structure of like our different targets, goals, and I had a lot of ideas of things that I wanted to implement over the couple of years after Mike come on board. And like we didn't know whether we would get like a spike, because one of the areas that I focused on excuse me, was targeting the elite side of the sport as one of our we put like a pot to one side financially to support athletes, because I felt like at the top end, the athletes in our sport like just wasn't getting that help that they needed to. So everyone was self-funding, going to train, you know, people that are working 40 hours a week, trying to train twice a day, going to events all over the world. Like it's so taxing mentally, physically, financially. I wanted to be that sort of supporting arm for people, like as a private company. Like we don't get any funding anywhere else other than what we create. So we set a percentage to one side to help like athletes, and that was, I think that was something that could have, like, I didn't know at the time like whether that was going to spike a lot, like going to the games with 5 athletes we had last year, and then this year we would have had 10 athletes going. So like we doubled that, which of course that has a huge knock-on effect. And the program itself has I'd say tripled in size like since Mike's come on board, and we've started implementing all these programs and stuff. So me and Mike like work very well. Like I'm very much behind the scenes. Mike's the face of the program. So we're quite a good team. That's enough credit now. Like that.
He's had his time. How so outside of Mike, you've got a bunch of coaches who do individualized for down that service. How do you pick someone to come on to be one of your coaches?
So we were, again, I like very, very lucky in terms of how we've grown the team, and I like to try and get a balance of the type of characters, coaches that we have. And to be honest, like all our guys are just really professional in terms of how they deliver their coaching roles. So it's not a case of like, if I've never worked with a coach, then I don't know what their actual their ideas are, their delivery. So I might know them as a person or an athlete or the type of character in the sport. And then I might reach out to them, or they might reach out to me. And we'll just have like a chat about that, and just I normally give people like a case study of showing me like an example of what they would program, and then we'd review that, look at like how they deliver that, and then just so that there's a bit of continuity between all our coaches. So what they're delivering is very much on that same platform. And we run like coaches training camps as well. So when everyone gets together, they all share their sort of knowledge and ideas on different areas of coaching. And we've got a lot of different specialists as well. So we've got specific weightlifting coaches, gymnastics, CrossFit, and so on, masters. So it's really good to get everyone together, and like they would like now that breeds its own way of like knowledge and motivation as well.
Cool. So I'm on Mike does my programming, and Becky does Mel, my girlfriend's.
Yeah.
How do you go about is it yourself that assigns the athlete to a coach, or?
Yeah, so if we get people like that just email us and say, I'd like to have personalized programming, this is what I want to work on, and they don't know any of our coaches, they might have looked them up on the website or like not done anything at all, they just don't care, they just say, oh, I just want personalized programming, then I'll give them to like a coach maybe that's got a free slot. There might be some that are obviously full. If they say they want to work on a particular skill set, then I'll select the coach like for that. If they've got free like slots available, or if there's a particular type of character that I think people, if I know them and I think they'll work well with certain people, then we try that. And to be honest, like we have like a very, very high percentage like retention rate of personalized programming. Like the guys that go under that, I think the value for money of what you get in personalized programming is fantastic. The level of interaction through daily feedback from coaches and stuff, I think I mean, I'm not plugging this because it's hard. Like if I wasn't doing it now and I'd seen what you get from it, then I would do that myself, like 100%.
Yeah, so I was kind of doing Mel to be honest, she was taken back by it. So me from watching, Jamesy was there as well, when we went down to the last European champs. And obviously Becky had been doing her programming for her and all the check-ins and bits and bobs, but down there she was on the ball there just before the warm-ups, giving her a warm-up to do, setting out game plans, and so I don't think Mel had expected that at all.
Yeah, that was cool to see, actually.
That was cool to see as well.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the sort of like level of relationship you build as a coach and your athlete. That she wasn't there because she was working or anything like that. She was there to help our athletes get through the best of their ability of that competition. And actually, I remember seeing Becky on the floor. I was probably dancing around singing to something on the floor at the time. But I saw Becky, she was watching one of her athletes called Hannah Phillips on the floor. And the workout might have been, I think it was the semi-finals. It was the overhead squat one. It was the hardest one for Hannah, and Hannah was like grinding through it. She got through, and I saw Becky like screaming, like trying to cheer her on. And like when she finished, like Becky, I don't know whether she did cry, but she like definitely like tried to hold that together. She was so emotional, and like that's not someone who's doing it just for the money or just for a job. Like she's there because she really invested, and that's what we on our last coaches training day. That was one of the things we went through, was the like care and connection of coach to athlete and the community between our team. So like making sure if one of the coaches is, say they've got an athlete that they're training and they might have an issue with weightlifting, then they can pass like notes to each other, help each other get some drills from a specialist and so on. So it's like a network of help within the coaches, and that all like helps from there. But yeah, like I remember seeing that of Becky, and that stood out in my mind a lot. So yeah,
cool.
That's good.
Yeah. Cool. Now, so we've picked coaches and athletes. How do you go about picking a team? So I know obviously Mike's the captain of the sanctionals team at the minute. But when we've got, so at Strength and Depth, there was like not an apprentice team, but a development team.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So first of all, Mike, I mean, I've been training well in isolation, so he better watch out as team captain on that first. I'm coming at you, Mike. So we have the Mike's team. So that's when me and Mike sat down, I wanted to create and build a team, or help him like do that and develop a squad that would be a team that could train together and actually be a team rather than 4 good athletes that are put together. And we had a very clear vision that we both matched of each other on that. And Mike has done that all like himself in terms of getting them athletes together, training and developing. He's taken the lead on that. And I think you only have to look at the competitions that they've done and what they've delivered in terms of all their podium finishes, for them to be the team, the best team that are out there. You know, like they are, for me. You know, some of the events there's been, you know, you could arguably better athletes individually put together as standalone athletes, but they're nowhere near them guys as a squad.
Yeah.
And teamwork and communication is what sets them apart. And there's no doubt they'll punch their tickets soon. So, but yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a diversion from your actual question. So I feel like a politician now. I'm talking around it just to find some time to
think.
know what I'm going to say. But yeah, so we have that. That's the first team. And then we have different squads that we put in for our development team. So this is kind of like still on that support system. So we would put 1 or 2 teams in, depending on where they are. Like the one that was in London, we put 2 teams into that. So we would then, on the one last year, we put out 3 workouts. So rather than saying, like, here's the program that we do, you've got to do an extra 3 workouts to try and qualify for a team that you're then going to do 3 more qualifiers in to get into the finals. We just chose 3 workouts that was in the program anyway. So people were doing them workouts regardless. They then treated that as a qualifier. So they would record it, post their scores, and we would then pick our teams from that. So that's one format that we do. If there's teams that we want to like handpick some people, there might be different reasons that certain athletes like being together in terms of if they're doing it for fun. So it might be like a smaller competition and some local one to me, and I'll just pick some people, drop them a message that they might have reached out to me about being involved in it. So we've got that. So kind of I look at it as 3 different levels. You've got your games levels, your development team, and then a team that I like to get people involved in the community and being like, you know, just part of a fun weekend. So that's kind of how it works. And yeah, I think I really enjoy that when I see people take to the floor together. The last strength and depth competition that we had again 2 teams in that, and like watching them guys together, like some of them, it was their first event, they gelled together really well, like attacked it, and they got better throughout the weekend as well. So the more they were doing together, the better they got. And yeah, for me, that's a really big part of the enjoyment of the competitions for the athlete program.
Yeah, cool. Cool. So you've had a team at regionals where Chris Coney fell over the line. I'll always remember that. I'll always remember that video.
That's, in this, you just need to put the link below for the
that video.
That'll get you like 10,000 views.
and then you're currently having massive success at the sanctionals level where Mike fell over the line during that.
There's a theme there.
Yeah.
So what are maybe for you, what are the stresses that come with that? So what's your role first within those teams going to sanctional? Is it like a manager, or I don't know?
Yeah, so first of all, the stress has to come from watching them guys get over that finish line, because the same problem that Chris had when he absolutely he gave everything he had. And I said to him afterwards, I was like, mate, that's impressive for you to be pushing to that point that, you know, he's trying to stay up with the other 3 and his legs had enough, and he was just keep going. And when someone says to you, can you go that little bit more? Like, he can turn around afterwards and say no, like he absolutely left it. Mm-hmm. Mike had a very close encounter with the same thing, and it was the same workout as well. So he the worm thrusters and burpees. And so like he had the same, he got to that end and he kind of like shuffled and waddled over. And also Ali had the same thing, but no one really saw like Ali's one as much.
He chatted about that one.
Yeah, like he took like a lot of the bag. So I don't know if he told you that, but he in training, like we like checked to see how quick the team could push. So we went through the workout, and then the last like minute, like we just turned the screw to see which athlete would drop off first. And in training, that was Mike. Like Mike was like it was only slightly like marginally, but obviously we needed to know who that was. And then when we took it to the floor, like you could see that Ali was like struggling a little bit more, and and then when they finished, first of all, like he was like, I don't know what happened there. He's like, I just didn't feel like it did in training. And I was like, first of all, you had a lot of the bag, so like that's going to make a huge difference. And when we looked at it back, like I didn't realize how much of the bag he actually had. So I knew he had a bit, but he had a lot. Like and when you're in the moment and you've got that adrenaline going, like you don't really know how much. You only need like for it to be a couple of inches further forward. But he probably took like a foot like of extra bag, and so he had a close encounter with the struggle, the crawl over the finish line for sure. So, but yeah, like my involvement in the team like changes depending on where we're at and in that team and in the year as well. Like whether my attention needs to be anywhere else, but I try and always get over to the training camps for the guys for the games, like just to help in any way I can. So sometimes that'll be in a coaching format, like looking at how they can improve efficiency and movement. It might literally, I joke and I call myself the water boy of the team.
The water boy.
Like yeah, like I'll just be there, and if they could tell me they want a bag of Haribos, you know, like I'll just go and get it for them. So it just anything that they need, like I'll just be there for that in that way. So like that kind of then to me is when they're competing, I feel really invested with the team on the floor. And the last couple of events they've done, like I've had very like little input. So the guys now that train together in that team, they know what they're doing, they know their training, which Mike leads, and and I'm just there then as for anything extra that they need. So yeah, it's really really good fun to see like that. So yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that covers both the stresses of it and the highs of it. I guess that's really cool. Yeah.
I remember the strength and depth one, the first one they went to, where they come second in that one, and I just remember them doing the that worm workout, and I was like cheering and screaming so bad from the side. I was sweating, and I don't mean like a little bit of like dripping down your face. I had like the full chest sweat going on, the back sweats, like, and I remember like we like, you know, you're cuddling, you're high fiving, you're like, oh, it was awesome. And then one, I can't remember which one it was. One of them just like one of the girls, might have been Emily at the time. Like she was like, she's like, dude, look at you. She's like, you look more sweaty than us. She's like, you haven't even been doing anything. I was like, I just get so like caught up in the emotion of it and the excitement, which is a great thing. Like it's really good to be involved in.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. Cool. So that pretty much covers all of my notes so far.
Yeah. No, I think
this is where our Instagram
it's a bit interesting
questions come into play.
Start to freestyle now.
Yeah.
This is where the Instagram questions apply.
I'm going to start going, oh, sorry, guys, I've lost you again.
Like,
yeah.
I can't answer that, fuck.
I'll bide myself a bit of time. Oh, yeah.
Off the top of your head, what would be your best competition moment a competition you were running?
That I was running?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's quite a few, to be honest. Mm-hmm. In terms of the online stuff, like I would actually say this one that we've just done in terms of the moments that I talked about, because they're not like elite athletes in terms of what they were trying to achieve out of the competition. Each one of them weeks and the overall one had a really good like motivational and inspirational story to them, and I really enjoyed that. So that's kind of a bit more of the raw roots of CrossFit as opposed to competitive CrossFit. So that for me is a big thing for the online.
Awesome. And then what would be your worst competition moment? If you've had one, if there has ever been one.
Actually, I'll just go back. I'm going to think about that. I'll talk about something else first. It's quite a bit of time. So the best moment I had at the finals, so one of them that really stands out to me was one of the early days when we was in the sports hall for our one of our second team events. It was a small like arena. It had about 600 seats. And the team was in the semi-finals and would split the workout. So two athletes had to do one workout, and then the other three athletes had to do another workout. And it was on the other side of the rig. So as the first guys were doing theirs, the other three were screaming at them, you know, as fast as they can. Yeah. This is like back in the day of CrossFit when every rep mattered, that classic saying, they're screaming, and the arena was so loud, like rumbling like it's crazy. And then when they finished, and then the next guys went, of course, once they'd caught their breath, they'd finished their work, so they were like putting everything they had into the other team. And I looked at my friend Pat, who does, like I said, that helps me with the management side, and I just looked at him, and we just gave each other a nod. Didn't say anything, just a nod of like, just hear that noise and feel the the rumbling. And that was a really, really nice moment for the events of like how it started in terms of that atmosphere. And actually linking back to the other question, that's kind of how we've kept that atmosphere there of not having any barriers to the floor and the seating. So like that actually is like one of the major things of how we keep that atmosphere there, because people feel like they're part of the event and on the floor. So yeah, that's probably my favorites. And now the worst one, like in terms of I wouldn't say it's the worst, like that I was worried about anything, but I felt bad. So when we done our last 3-on-1, it was BK was doing it, and he went. He'd like done a bit of training the day before, and like he asked what we were going to do, and I'd explained to him like what we were kind of looking at doing, but not the specific workouts, just like the time domains and movements. And he was okay with everything. He was fine, and he gave it like a serious go, but he absolutely hit a wall, like in terms of in the second section. Did you guys go to that one? Did you see that at all?
Yeah, I remember watching it, but
so when I picked like the 3-on-1s, like I would try and make sure the athletes that are doing it are competent in their sections, but not too good that, of course, like everyone's human. And so BK, like bearing in mind these 3 workouts, like the first one was rowing and burpees, next one was thrusters and toes to bar, and the last one was like just like 20 muscle ups for time, something like that. So the whole thing, he done each section himself back to back, and we picked three people for the other ones. And unfortunately, the guys that I'd picked at each section of the other ones were just slightly too good. So they just blasted through. There was no rest, no stopping. Like they just hammered. It was like a sprint for them. So like BK, bless him, like he come out like hot. He matched nearly, like he was only a few seconds behind the first guy. And then in the second one, like the thrusters, just like you could see, he was eating him up, and he did not enjoy himself in that event.
So, all those people watching, he's like, oh no.
Yeah. I remember like because I actually made eye contact with him in one of the thrusters as well, and I felt like he was just looking at me, just swearing under his breath, like I hate you. So yeah, I think that's probably I'd say the one thing that I'd look back and think I might have got slightly wrong in terms of just how good them guys were at their movements. So, but yeah, it was still good fun. And like what we done afterwards, we said to everyone, like, this is BK's time. Like what he done as an individual, have a go at doing all 3, like online. If anyone can get near that, like post about it, tell us. But the guys, it was really good. Everyone still got behind him and cheered him on to finish. So yeah, it was impressive still. So
cool. But next question that we had was, is the team competition still running at the end of this year, as far as you know?
Yeah. So the plans for the team one like haven't changed, just because we obviously don't know at the minute any details that we know we can say anything else. So it's going to be extremely tight. Like I've got to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. Like I don't think it will run, but I certainly don't want to say or do anything on that until we know. But I would be amazed if we can put that many people in a room, and logistically, like rather than trying to do it at a socially distanced, like acceptable amount, I'd rather move it. And again, keep the atmosphere there, keep the excitement, even if it's like another month back. Of course, what we're going to get now is that all these different events that have had to reschedule, they're going to be smashed like towards the end of the year, and that's going to become carnage on everyone's calendar. So I'll be marketing that event as almost like a springboard back to fitness for people to just come down, have some fun. Like, don't come thinking like you're going for a podium. Just think you're coming here to meet some friends, catch up with people, and then like I think that's the sort of angle that I'm going to take on it. Like for myself as well, like the guys in my local gym, like I know we've got like 3 or 4 like teams in it, and I'll just be saying all the same things to them, you know, like just still imagine you're doing it, start training together. but don't stress about like where you're at in your performance. We've all just tried to maintain like being active and healthy, like at the minute over these last 3 months. So if you come back to competitive fitness and think, right, I need to be like trying to win this thing, then or even just not that you're thinking of winning, but if you're thinking I want to be hitting like your PBs on gymnastics and weightlifting and still like tearing up metcons and stuff, like I just think it's going to stress people out. So I think that base way of just thinking we're going with some mates, we're going to have some fun, and they can get back to training after that.
Cool. So yeah, here's hoping.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
How do you decide if it's a qualifier event or just like a book a slot type gig?
So the reason like I've done it as just a book one was really because the team ones, especially the way we run them, like are more community focused as opposed to like, because the last team event we run, I had like a 25, I think it was, £1,000 prize pot, and we tried to make it like more of an elite competition. And for me, that like took that element of, because then people like some intermediate athletes like my sort of self like didn't enter that level because they thought it's just going to be full up of monster teams, and and then actually it took out that like fun element of what I was trying to achieve right from the beginning of when I first started it.
Yeah.
So when I first sat down, I had a few years out of running team competitions, and I just thought, right, I'm going to bring it back. Like, what do I want it to be like? And I want it to be inclusive for everyone and fun. So that's why I done the no qualifier one. Whereas the individual one's different. It's still inclusive for everyone on them different categories, but in terms of the qualifiers, you still need to earn that spot on the floor. So that's the difference of the two. And I think it's sort of it allows you to want to do both as well, because they are so different as opposed to like running the same thing all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's cool. Perfect. Next question. So we have our
this
good
is
friend.
Obviously a good one as you're laughing before you started it.
It's always our friends that jump in with these. So we got our good friend Naz, that is famously known as Furious Naz. But he's asking if there's a job going as a qualifier video watcher, and if it's £10 an hour, can he have the job?
I can tell you now, he's not alone with that question, because I get like so many people say to me, "Oh, can I?" They don't ask like, "Oh, I'll take the workload off you, I help you out." They're like, "Can I do the video watching because I want to watch loads of people and see what they're doing?"
See what they're doing.
Yeah. But like, to be honest, like we have so many entries. We've got a good team of people like that judge. Man. So there might be like at any one time you've got about 8 to 10 people doing each verification stage, and it's long and hard, but it is really good. Like in terms of like watching what people do. Is really funny.
Yeah, I bet you get some crackers.
Even like how people introduce themselves, like because they know like it's going to be watched. So especially if I know someone, like they'll do like a funny little entry to it, and then I can like message them and I'll be like, "I've just watched your entry." Like, you know, it's just it's funny. So it's good fun, but it's a lot of work for sure.
Yeah.
Tell him that's a strong maybe.
That's a strong maybe.
I've done a few of those introductions for the pound for pound ones where I've
get your butt out,
jumped in, and very little clothes on.
My intro is normally my face imposed onto someone else's body, like yours, who's going to smash it, and then me going, "Hey, my name's Carl." And like, "Oh, hang on, it's in that video already."
Class.
Someone asked, I don't know who asked. Someone asked, "Who is he?"
Yeah, that might have been typed from myself. I saw your post come up, and I was like, "Oh, who is this guy?" People will be asking, and in fact, actually, that's quite a funny question, inadvertently, without even knowing that I wrote it myself. But so one year I'd done a live video from our front room. So it was, I'm trying to think. Oh, we done a vote for people to decide what movement they wanted in the finals. So we gave them 3 options, and they could vote A, B, or C. So the live announcement had a giveaway in it and some other bits, and we like sort of shared it, and I just explained what was happening. I think it had a workout announcement first, and then one of the comments in the thing said, why is the European Championships just allowed some random person to do a video on their page from his front room? And that really made me laugh. I was thinking, yeah, like obviously not everyone knows like who you are, what you're doing, and like from that day, I've always thought I need to be clearer with like saying, introducing myself, because that comment was brilliant. Why have they let some dude just do a video? Yeah, so I was like just sitting there stroking my cat as well, just like, hi guys.
So good.
What competitions have you competed
in? So like generally, I'm not really, like I said, like not a competitive athlete. Like definitely not individually. Like I'm nowhere near the standard to be on like most competition floors. But I've done pound for pound for like the first like 5-6 years or whatever it run for. Like I've done right from the beginning. I think maybe at least from the second year onwards, and that was good for me because of course being a smaller guy, like I could actually compete in that, and like I found that fun. And I understand why people of course like do competitive fitness, because that was something that allowed me to feel like I could really push in all different skill sets and areas, and be able to compete to try and get into like the first cut to the semis and so on. And I think my best finish maybe was 8th, something like that. So I was like really happy with that. And I haven't been on the podium like some guys over there. But yeah, I really like that. And of course, it actually built like a different community as well. The guys that take part in it, I think, all respect each other in the sense of like, that's our competition. And like, I really like that. So I think the guys, maybe I think it's still running. Am I right? Because I know it did last year.
Yeah, so we had the one last year, and then they were chatting about moving the gym to a bigger unit.
Okay.
So he wasn't sure if they were going to run it this year. Well, no one's sure.
Right.
I don't know if it was planned for this year until they kind of got settled in, or I don't know.
Yeah, because I knew it like last year. I'd done the qualifiers for it, but I think the finals was when we was at the games. So like, obviously I couldn't do it. So this year I was hoping to be able to do like come back and do it. But, obviously with COVID anyway, it's not going to be on. So so yeah, that's probably been personally like my own competition I've been able to compete at individually, and then I've done like a host of different pairs and team stuff at like just local affiliates and stuff like that. So yeah, all about the fun in fitness is my focus now.
Yeah, no, cool. Who's your favourite Scottish person?
I could be in trouble here because there's quite a few people up there. So
Ali's bigger than us all, so we won't get mad if you say
it. Yeah. I'm just gonna take him out because he's like the celebrity of Scotland. So we remove him. Like you know Jacob Walker.
Oh yeah.
So Jacob come with us to the games, and he shot all our media for our athlete program. And like, since I knew Jacob before that, because he worked on the European champs for us, but like we stayed together and traveled together and stuff. And since then we've been like really good friends. So he's very much a favourite of mine. But no offense to anyone else out there, of course.
Because Jacob used to work for Fox Lake in Dunbar, the wakeboarding sort of adventure place. And I work for the Dundee version, so that's how we've met in the past. So he's come down and done a lot of promo stuff for the Dundee side of things as well.
Yeah, he's a great lad, and he's so talented at what he does behind the camera. He's really good. He's over in Canada at the minute. I think he's out there for another 6 months or more, maybe. So, but yeah, and also I just saw he hit 100 kilo snatch. So, like me and him were matched when we were both on 90. Then we were both on 95, and then he's just put up 100, and I've gone backwards. I'm like still trying to get 60 now. Like he's hit the 100. So yeah, I think he's ready to. He's going to hang up his boots and retire now.
He's done. Yeah, I remember the first time I kind of got introduced to his filming side of things. Whereas we were doing like a promo thing for like the aqua park, like obstacle courses on the water. So he's got this fancy, ridiculous camera stabilizer thing, and I'm in the little boat driving the boat for him to film all this stuff. And just as we set off, I'm like, cool, right, don't crash the boat. It's like, do what he asked you to do, don't crash the boat. And he's like, oh yeah, just so you know, my insurance doesn't cover over water. I'm like, what? What do you mean?
As soon as someone says something like that to you, your first thought is like, I'm going to crash this boat
straight
into something.
Full whiskey throttle into the wall.
That's funny. The last thing that sinks as well is just his camera lens.
It's like,
just goes down.
Well, that's 7 meters underwater now. Fuck.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Same person. Who's your favourite Juicy Ninja member?
This is a tough one. I mean, sorry, I can't hear you guys. What is that last question? I suppose we'll just have to put that down to whoever was like closest to me on the leaderboard for the last competition. We'll go.
I was nowhere to be seen in that competition. So
all right, next one then.
Those single skips, man. They fucking
That's now how we pick our friends. Who's on the leaderboard?
If you're above me on the leaderboard, we're not friends.
I mean, I feel at the minute I feel like I'm not gonna have any friends. I'm gonna be struggling. Just getting out of bed.
What is this one? Can I have an athlete program jumper? I like them. Well, there we go.
I mean, do you know who sent them, or are these just all random questions?
No, so that's Fraser Clark, who owns St Andrews.
All right, I feel like is that the only one we've had for clothing? Because I feel like if we should just send it now, like our principal. Like he asked for it, so there we go. Tell him it's en route. You don't ask, you don't get. So
I'll get him.
I mean, that's fair. He'll be fucking buzzing with that. He's wanted one of them for ages.
I know.
Well, I like doing like little random stuff. So yeah, tell him when he sees this, like he can just send these details. I'll send it over. No problem. You're welcome.
Nailed it. Will the athlete program coaching team grow? That's maybe a loaded question.
Yeah. So actually, it's funny you say that, because our next post that's going out on social media is to announce the coaching team is growing. So like, especially at the minute in isolation, like that's quite a unique position to be in, I think. Yeah. So we're just bringing on 2 new coaches, which I won't say their names. You can wait for the post and then comment. But yeah, so like as we're growing with our personalized programming and all the like development teams and stuff, we want to keep growing the team as much as possible. And that's pretty much where we're at. So I'll just keep growing now. Like we very much, when we come across like someone who fits that team mold and has the same sort of principles and ethics that we want to roll out in our team, then we try and recruit them and grow from there. So
perfect. So we asked Mike this question as well. If you were the special guest referee in a fight between Alec and Ali, who are you putting your money on?
who would I put my money on?
Who you got?
So that's almost as entertaining as watching Eddie Hall and Thor, I think. Like
it's the undercard.
I think we should. I guarantee the first thing Mike probably said was, "Let's get some tickets for this, and we'll sell some seats." I think that would be a great fight. I reckon I'd imagine Alec would be technically pretty fast, but I think Ali's got that like rawness. But actually, I tell you what, this would be like a Rocky film. This would be like Apollo 3 against Rocky Balboa. So I'm gonna say
set it up.
It'll be like a draw, like them two, like crawling up the ropes together, a double KO. So yeah, I'm going with that kind of finish. That'd be good. I want to watch this now. Yeah,
set this up. Get it on the undercard for the Thor and Eddie Hall fight.
yeah. Oh, it'd be so good.
Last one that we have is, what is it like being so small yet such a powerful human?
I mean, that's a compliment, I guess. I'll take that. So I remember one of my friends years ago. He called me an ant in the gym, but he meant it. He meant it in like a nice way. He was like, "You're strong, like for your size." but the way he said it was like, man, you're like an ant, aren't you? And I was like, you're just abusing me in the gym. I was like, so like ever since then, like I've called myself the ant. Like use that emoji when I'm like going head to head with people in the gym. Like I'll call out like the big guys and like gorillas. And yeah, so I'm like I've been always happy. Like I just train for the health side of stuff really, and if I can ever do anything, then it's fun. And yeah, I'm not too fussed about that. And yeah, I don't ever like see. I guess I've really sat back and reflected on actually what I've done in terms of like the reach of the athlete program and the European champs and stuff. So I honestly just see myself as a dude that loves CrossFit and just tries to help other people like do what they can really. So that's cool. Yeah, that's all I see.
Cool. James, you got
there's a couple that have slipped through the cracks.
Oh.
Yeah. So
far away.
I think I'm like, no, you don't have them doing enough. So
no, you'll have them.
They are. If you could design a workout perfect for you, what would it be?
Oh, okay. To be honest, there was one in Pound for Pound years and years ago, and I don't know if you remember this one, Liam. It was muscle ups and pistols.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember doing that? It was 15.
I remember watching you doing that.
Yeah, so I think it was 15 ring muscle ups, 20 pistols, 12 ring muscle ups, 20 pistols, 20 pistols. And like I'd done that workout, like just closed my eyes as fast as I could. I just moved like and just went at it. Like I didn't break anything. It was just as quick as I could move the whole thing. And I can't remember where I finished. I was definitely top 5. Like, but I absolutely loved it. And yeah, that one was definitely for me. And ironically, I think my highest finish ever in that event was a deadlift and burpee workout. It was like 150% of your body weight, maybe. So it's about 100 kilos for me at the time. 6 deadlifts. No, I can't remember. 6 over bar burpees, maybe 5 rounds, something like that. And I don't have a very good engine, but like that was the first workout of the whole like weekend, and I just obviously was like absolutely like jacked up for it. And I remember just again not stopping at all on that, and I think I come like 3rd on it, and then the same workout come out a few years later, but it was later on in the weekend. And I remember looking at it thinking, oh, this is for me. Like, I remember how it felt last time, and I was really looking forward to it. And I bombed really hard. Like, I went so hard, like, on the first couple of rounds. Like, I remember slowing right down, whereas the first time, like, I could just keep moving, and I loved it. But, yeah, I was struggling. So, but, yeah, I think I'd have to pick that muscle up and pistol one. Like, that's for me, like, body weight movements. I love gymnastic stuff, and yeah, that was good.
No, sweet.
Maybe throw a bit of handstand walking in there now. Like I've been practicing a lot of upside down work, in isolation. So throw that in, yeah.
So the next one, your favorite event, whether it be from Battle of the Beasts or the European Championships, like to watch or to see people do.
So there's the one that like jumps out like really clear to me. There's my most sort of enjoyable. I'm going to say it was probably a bit biased because I was enjoying it as an event organizer, not just as a spectator. But it was like a combination of everything. And that was the year that Annie done the 3-on-1. That 3-on-1 was like I was really like pleased with how that panned out because it was like a proper cat and mouse game of like Annie went out hot. She took the lead. The girls come back, like they caught up. And it probably happened 3 times. And the crowd was so electric. Like everyone was really, really enjoying it. They got to the end and the workout was, the last section was some sandbags that they had to run back, get the sandbag, throw it over the line. Annie threw it over the line first, started celebrating. But the workout finished with a sprint back down. So everyone went crazy when Annie won. The other girls, which is a lady called Charlotte Nappett, she's one of our members. She worked run back, and obviously, like technically won the workout. but really, the girls didn't care. Annie didn't care. The crowd didn't care. Like it was just such a good atmosphere. Like the buzz in that arena on that day was probably one of my proudest moments as an event organizer, and one of the most exciting to watch as a spectacle as well like the movements we had all different stuff in there, from muscle ups, rope climbs, barbell work, sandbag carries, like it had everything. So it was, it was a really good event, that one.
No, that's cool. And then our usual final question.
Yeah.
You've just finished the European Champs. It's been a massive success. You come home, you open your fridge, there's a beer in there. What is it?
So every time, I don't know if you know this, like, but every time I do an event, I post a picture of a beer.
Yeah.
Like, that is literally what I do. I get home and because obviously you're so smoked, so you don't look at anything on your phone, your computer, nothing. I get a beer out, and it always changes, because sometimes it's just whatever beer I've got in the fridge, or like, like if I see something like kicking around down the road, then you pick it up. But like it's just anything you can get your hands on. But my preference of beer would be a Brahma. It's like a Brazilian beer.
Yeah.
Like that's the easiest for me. Like I love, like they're really nice. You could drink quite a few of them. So. But after an event, like honestly, one bottle of beer and I'm almost on the floor. Like I'm only a little guy, and when you're like absolutely smashed to the floor from an event, like one beer and I'm on the table.
Sweet.
Boom.
Yeah.
There we go. We survived.
Yeah, well, that was. I think you guys were pretty kind to me there. I was expecting some embarrassing stuff. So yeah, cheers. I appreciate that. I'll send you both the payments later.
We want you to come back on, so the first one's always nice, and then
always nice.
I see.
We'll get
got the fishing rod out. Reel me in. But yeah, no, it's been really nice. I really appreciate you guys asking me to come on, and
it's been cool,
like
man.
I said in my question, like, who is he? Like, obviously, you feel sometimes like these things are nice for the athletes and the stars to do. So. I feel quite honoured that you guys wanted to have me on. So thank you very much.
No, we appreciate your time. We know you're the busiest man I know anyway.
Well, just trying to get on this phone call was hard enough. I'd say 4 or 5 times we got there, but it's been good fun. So thank you very much, and nice work as well with what you're doing, guys. It's always good to see people like grilling athletes and getting stuff out of them, because we all want to know like what they're doing behind closed doors and what their thoughts are and stuff. So. Yeah, it's good. So keep that going,
man.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome, dude.
No, I appreciate it.